cruise ship got stuck on an outcropping of rocks, and soon water began to flow into the inside of the ship, and the ship started to lean to the side. The passengers on board the ship screamed in terror and jumped overboard. Hundreds of men, women, and children swam to a nearby island and lay panting on the beach. They were alive. One of the families rejoicing on the beach was the Herberts. They had saved for years to take a family vacation, but now it was over. What was going to happen to them? Months later, the passengers of the cruise ship could not believe they had not yet been rescued. The island of Zot, where they had landed, was deserted, and all calls for help had gone unanswered. So the passengers decided to build a life for themselves on the island. Many conflicts arose over who would get to build a house on the best parts of the island, who should collect food for the group, and who should stand watch at night to protect the group from wild animals. The ship's crew should do most of the work on the island since it was their fault the ship had sunk. The captain of the ship was treated harshly and many refused to associate with him. The Herberts were afraid because fights on the island were becoming more frequent and violent. One group of men had already broken another passenger's nose because of an argument. The Herbert shelter had been destroyed by another family who felt they had chosen that spot first. Arguments broke out daily over who should or should not be punished for all of the destruction. Eventually, Mr. Herbert stood up and suggested that people should choose a leader to make all of the decisions for the group and to put an end to the fighting. The rest of the people on the island agreed. So the people of Zot, as they had named themselves, wanted to make sure that they had a strong, solid set of rules and system of governing themselves that would be effective. During the meeting, several residents shared their views. One of the crew members pointed out that everyone must contribute to keeping the society of Zot safe from wild animals because, he said, what's the use of rules if we are all dead? The ship's doctor suggested that the society of Zot tried to improve the health of the community by placing sick residents in quarantine and by clearing parts of the jungle to plant more. One resident of Zot demanded that disputes be settled fairly and peacefully by small groups of other Zot residents. Mrs. Herbert pointed out the importance of peace on the island and requested that fighting be prohibited. No more broken. The captain of the ship reminded residents of Zot the importance of protecting rights and liberties of the island's residents now and in the future. He even suggested writing down these rights so future residents of Zot would know what they are. At the end of the meeting, the residents of Zot knew that the purpose of government they had established was to make Zot a great place to live and that it just might work.